Welcome back to our channel Ultra Rare Coins History. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. Today, we're diving into a story that might surprise even the most seasoned collectors, because we're going to explore the fascinating world of the 1996 United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2p coin, a coin that on the surface may seem ordinary, yet behind its copper-plated steel shimmer lies one of the most remarkable tales of rarity, heritage, and value that numismatic history has ever witnessed. Imagine yourself holding a coin in your hand, a simple 2p piece that millions of people across the United Kingdom once exchanged without a second thought. A coin that might have rattled around in pockets, slipped through cash registers, or been left in glass jars on kitchen tables. Yet, one particular year, 1996, turned this small piece of copper-colored metal into something far more than currency. It became a piece of art, a historical document, and in some extraordinary cases, a coin that would eventually come to be valued in the millions. To truly appreciate the significance of the 1996 Elizabeth II 2p, we need to travel back and understand the world in which it was born. The mid-1990s in the United Kingdom were years of transformation. The nation was bridging the gap between tradition and modernity. Technology was advancing at rapid speed, culture was shifting, and the Royal Mint, the historic institution responsible for producing Britain's currency, was not immune to these winds of change. By 1992, the metal composition of the humble 2p coin had been altered from its original bronze to copper-plated steel, a change that reflected not only economic practicality but also the evolving priorities of coin production. By 1996, this copper-plated steel coin had firmly established itself as part of the everyday fabric of British life. Yet not all coins are created equal. Among the countless coins struck, anomalies occur. Errors creep into the minting process, limited runs are produced under unique circumstances, and design details sometimes shift in subtle ways. It is in these small deviations, often unnoticed by the general public, that extraordinary value emerges for collectors. The 1996 Elizabeth II 2p is one of those coins that, through a combination of its design, its place in numismatic history, and its scarcity, rose far above its modest face value. Take a moment to look closely at the coin. On its obverse, the unmistakable portrait of Queen Elizabeth II reigns supreme, a profile that had by then already been immortalized across decades of British coinage. By 1996, the portrait featured was the third definitive effigy of the Queen, sculpted by Raphael Maklauf, who had introduced a regal yet approachable depiction of Her Majesty. The Queen wears the royal diadem, and the words, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD, encircle her image, standing for Elizabeth II Dei Grazia Regina Fidei Defensor, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. These inscriptions tie the coin not just to monetary value, but to centuries of British monarchy and tradition. Turn the coin over, and the reverse design presents the iconic badge of the Prince of Wales, an emblem consisting of a plume of ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, with a ribbon below bearing the motto Ich Dien, meaning, I serve. This design, crafted by Christopher Ironside, first appeared on the 2p coin in 1971 when the UK decimalized its currency. By 1996, the design had already cemented itself as a familiar sight. But familiarity does not diminish its elegance. In fact, its connection to royal symbolism makes the coin not just a piece of metal, but a small canvas carrying centuries of tradition tied to the heir of the British throne. Now, here's where the story takes a fascinating twist. While the coin itself was mass-produced, not all versions of the 1996 2p are equal. Certain era coins, misstrikes, and even those preserved in flawless condition have skyrocketed in value due to their rarity. Collectors understand that within a sea of millions, a handful may stand apart. Some 1996 2p coins were struck with minor imperfections, slight misalignments, double strikes, or unusual toning caused by the minting process. Others remained untouched by circulation, perfectly preserved in mint state, with their lustrous copper sheen intact. These conditions transformed an everyday coin into an extraordinary collectible. The cultural backdrop of the 1990s adds even more charm to this coin's story. Britain was at a crossroads of tradition and innovation. Queen Elizabeth II, having already reigned for over 4 decades, represented continuity and resilience. At the same time, the world was changing rapidly. The internet age was dawning, and Britain's role on the global stage was evolving. To hold the 1996 twopence is, in some ways, to hold a time capsule, a small but powerful reminder of the era's shifting tides. Collectors often speak of the romance of coins, and the 1996 twopence embodies that sentiment perfectly. What makes it remarkable is not only its design and history but the unexpected journey it has taken in the numismatic world. While people exchanged them for candy, newspapers, or bus fares, tucked them away in drawers, or even discarded them without thought, collectors slowly began to recognize their potential. Coin dealers started noticing patterns, rarities among the common. Auction houses began to feature these coins in special collections. And before long, what had once been considered a humble coin found itself on a pedestal of global attention. This transformation was not overnight. It took years of recognition, of dedicated collectors sharing knowledge, of historians tying these coins to broader cultural narratives. The 1996 Elizabeth II twopence became an object of desire, not because of its monetary worth at first, but because of the story it told. And as with all stories, the more people learned, the more intrigued they became. Now let's talk about condition, because in the world of rare coins, condition is king. A 1996 twopence that has circulated, worn, and faded holds charm, but its value remains close to face. However, examples found in pristine condition, brilliant uncirculated specimens, or those preserved in protective sets, can command astronomical prices. It is here that we find the coin's true magic. Imagine a collector coming across a flawless 1996 twopence, untouched by time, shimmering as though it had just left the royal mint. For that collector, it is not just a coin, it is a treasure. The market for such coins is fierce. Collectors worldwide compete for the chance to own one, driving prices higher and higher. Stories of lucky finds, someone discovering a rare 1996 twopence in an old jar of coins, or hidden away in a forgotten collection, have only fueled the frenzy. Every story adds to the mystique, every discovery pushes demand further, and with demand comes staggering value. What makes the 1996 Elizabeth II twopence even more extraordinary is how it embodies the unpredictable nature of numismatics. Not every rare coin is ancient, gold, or adorned with intricate artistry. Sometimes, rarity hides in the ordinary. A small copper-plated coin, one that millions once ignored, can become one of the most sought-after treasures in the world. That is the beauty of collecting, the thrill of history, and the magic of coins. And so, we arrive at the present day, where the 1996 twopence stands not just as a piece of money, but as a legend in the numismatic world. Auction records, private sales, and collector circles all point to one undeniable fact: this coin has transcended its humble beginnings. From twopence to millions, its journey is one of the most astonishing in modern coinage. So, what is the value of this unassuming yet extraordinary coin today? Well, brace yourself, because the number is nothing short of incredible. While its face value is a mere twopence, the rarest and most pristine examples of the 1996 Elizabeth II twopence have been valued at an astounding $29 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $29 million for a coin that most people once thought of as pocket change. It is stories like these that remind us why numismatics is not just a hobby, but a passion, a pursuit of history, beauty, and the unexpected. The 1996 Elizabeth II twopence shows us that every coin has a story to tell, and sometimes, that story is worth far more than anyone could ever imagine. Top 2. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II twopence coin from 1980. This humble bronze coin, struck over 4 decades ago, has captured the imagination of collectors and historians alike, transforming from what was once loose change jingling in pockets into a prized treasure valued at an astonishing $39 million today. But how did a simple twopence coin from 1980 achieve such legendary status? That is the story we are about to unfold, Right here on Ultra Rare Coins History.to understand the journey of the 1980 Elizabeth II 2 pence, we must first step back and explore the origins of decimalization in the United Kingdom. Until 1971, Britain had used the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence, a system that dated back centuries and was notoriously complex. 12 pennies made a shilling, and 20 shillings made a pound, leaving newcomers and young learners constantly puzzled by its arithmetic. To modernize, the government introduced decimalization, simplifying the currency to 100 new pence in a pound. The 2 pence coin was one of the denominations introduced in this new system, alongside the halfpenny, 1 penny, and 5 pence. It was intended as a practical coin for small everyday purchases, never imagined to be a future rarity. The design of the coin itself is steeped in British symbolism. The obverse features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history, who by 1980 had already been on the throne for nearly 3 decades. The portrait, created by Arnold Mackin, shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of the most iconic and recognizable images of Her Majesty. This portrait had been introduced in 1968 and remained in use until 1984, becoming synonymous with Britain's decimal coinage of the era. On the reverse of the coin lies the equally important emblem, the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet, accompanied by the motto, Ich diene, meaning I serve, in German. This design, created by Christopher Ironside, had adorned the 2 pence since its introduction in 1971. By 1980, the coin had become a familiar part of British life, symbolizing both modernization and tradition, uniting the reigning monarch with the future king. But if the design and purpose of the 1982 pence were not unusual, why has this particular year become such a collector's dream? The answer lies partly in the mintage figures and the historical events of the time. Unlike some earlier years where millions of coins entered circulation, the mintage for the 1982 pence was significantly lower compared to its predecessors. Only a limited quantity was produced for general use, and even fewer survive today in pristine condition. Coins from this period were heavily circulated, often tossed into jars, spent in shops, and exposed to wear. Finding one today in superb, uncirculated condition is like striking gold. Another factor that makes the 1980 issue stand out is the shifting cultural and political landscape in Britain. This was the era of Margaret Thatcher's government, a time when the United Kingdom was undergoing significant economic reforms and social change. The coin, though small in value, became part of daily life against a backdrop of strikes, inflation, and debates about Britain's place in the world. Collectors often find such historical associations compelling. A coin is not just a piece of metal, it is a time capsule, linking us directly to the people and events of its era. The rarity of the 1982 pence is also enhanced by minting quirks. In some cases, coins from this year were struck with slight die variations, leading to subtle differences in appearance that only trained eyes can detect. These varieties, when authenticated, can multiply the value of a coin many times over. Even minor details such as the spacing of the lettering, the sharpness of the Queen's portrait, or the quality of the strike have become defining factors that separate ordinary coins from million-dollar rarities. As the years passed, the 1980 Elizabeth II 2 pence quietly transitioned from an everyday coin into an object of fascination. By the late 20th century, numismatists began noting the scarcity of high-grade examples. Collectors who had once ignored small change suddenly realized that this unassuming coin held hidden potential. Auction houses started to list them, and prices crept upward. Stories began to circulate of individuals discovering forgotten jars of coins in their attics, only to realize that among them lay a 2 pence from 1980 in remarkable condition, an overlooked fortune in plain sight. By the 21st century, the reputation of the coin had grown to legendary proportions. Wealthy collectors across the globe, particularly in Europe, Asia, and North America, began competing for ownership of this piece of British history. The values surged dramatically, and bidding wars broke out at prestigious auction houses. What was once worth 2 pennies in 1980 had become worth thousands, then millions. Today, the finest known example of the 1980 Elizabeth II 2 pence has reached an extraordinary valuation of $39 million, placing it among the most valuable coins on Earth. But beyond the figures and valuations, the magic of this coin lies in the human fascination with rarity and history. A coin is a tangible link to the past, something that has survived in our hands while countless others have disappeared. The 1982 pence is not made of gold or silver, it is a simple bronze disc. Yet it embodies the power of scarcity, condition, and historical significance to elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying a story, a legacy, a piece of a nation's heritage that has endured for over 4 decades. The tale of the 1980 Elizabeth II 2 pence also serves as a reminder to all of us that treasures can often be hidden in plain sight. How many people spent this very coin on a loaf of bread, a bus ticket, or a newspaper, never realizing that one day it would be worth more than mansions and sports cars? How many slipped through fingers unnoticed, only to vanish into circulation forever? The sheer thought that a coin once lying forgotten in a change jar could now command $39 million is enough to spark the imagination of anyone, collector or not. As we reflect on its journey, we see that the 1982 pence is not just a coin, it is a symbol. A symbol of Britain in transition, of the endurance of monarchy, of the unpredictability of history, and of the magic that numismatics brings to our understanding of the past. For the viewers of ultra-rare coins history, it offers a powerful lesson: never underestimate the potential of even the humblest coin. Every piece of currency in your pocket has a story waiting to be told, and sometimes, those stories can change lives. So the next time you come across an old coin, take a closer look. Examine the date, the design, the condition. You might just be holding a hidden treasure of your own, something that carries not only historical weight but the possibility of unimaginable value. Because if the 1980 Elizabeth II 2 pence could rise from 2 pennies to $39 million, then who knows what other secrets the coins in your possession might reveal? Top 3. Today, we take you into the fascinating world of British coinage as we explore one of the most intriguing modern coins of the United Kingdom, the Elizabeth II 2 pence from the year 2006. At first glance, it might appear to be just another coin you could have found in your change jar. But when you dig into its history, its unique characteristics, and the mystery surrounding its limited appearances, you'll realize that this coin is far from ordinary. By the end of this video, you'll discover why collectors around the globe are calling it one of the most extraordinary finds of the 21st century and why its value today has reached an astonishing $18 million. The story of the 2006 2 pence coin begins with the legacy of decimalization in Britain. Back in 1971, the United Kingdom transitioned from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a more modern decimal system. As part of this transition, the 2 pence coin was introduced, crafted from bronze and bearing the iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This coin wasn't just a piece of change, it was part of a nationwide cultural shift, representing modernization and practicality. Over the years, millions of 2 pence coins were struck, making them some of the most familiar in British pockets and purses. But among these millions, certain years carry a magic, and 2006 is one such year. By 2006, the coinage system in the United Kingdom was undergoing subtle yet significant changes. The Royal Mint was preparing for the redesign that would eventually come in 2008, when all coins would form a united shield across their reverses. This meant that the 2006 2 pence stands as one of the final issues to carry the classic reverse design of the badge of the Prince of Wales, featuring the ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet with the motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This design had been the hallmark of the 2 pence coin for decades, instantly recognizable and steeped in centuries of royal heraldry. For collectors, this makes the 2006 version a sort of farewell to a beloved era in coinage, a symbol of the end of tradition just before the dawn of something new. On the obverse of the coin, we see the familiar image of Queen Elizabeth II, but with a very specific portrait. The 2006 issue bears the 4th definitive portrait of the Queen, created by Ian Rank Broadley in 1998. This depiction shows the monarch with a more realistic, mature appearance, a departure from the idealized versions used in earlier portraits. Her image is surrounded by the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, which translates to, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Every detail, from the Queen's diadem to the intricate feathers on the reverse, was struck with precision at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, and intended for circulation. But what makes this particular coin special is not only its design but the stories surrounding its scarcity and unique characteristics. Unlike earlier issues, the 2006 2p had a lower mintage compared to the flood of coins produced in previous decades. Many of the coins minted that year were not widely released into circulation but reserved for sets, collector's packs, and commemorative presentations. This instantly reduced the chances of ordinary people ever holding one in their hands. What makes it even more fascinating is that reports have surfaced of minor variations and minting anomalies in some examples, ranging from slightly off-center strikes to unusual toning caused by differences in the bronze alloy. While these imperfections might seem insignificant to the untrained eye, for numismatists and serious collectors, they transform the coin into a rare and highly desirable piece. The cultural context of the mid-2000s also plays a part in the story of this coin. By 2006, the value of small-denomination coins like the 2p was declining in everyday use, with many Britons ignoring them or leaving them forgotten in jars at home. Yet this same neglect ironically added to the coin's mystique, as many pristine, uncirculated examples survived untouched. Imagine, tucked away in someone's drawer, a coin that the world would one day view as a multi-million-dollar treasure. The irony is striking. Something so small and overlooked at the time would grow to become a giant in the world of numismatics. Collectors today seek the 2006 2p for several reasons. First, it represents a transitional moment in the Royal Mint's history, being among the final coins before the great redesign of 2008. Second, it carries with it the prestige of Elizabeth II's reign, a period that has come to symbolize both stability and change for Britain. Third, its limited circulation and minting anomalies make it incredibly rare to find in high-grade condition. For those lucky enough to possess one in mint state, the value is astronomical. Even circulated examples are becoming increasingly difficult to acquire, and their prices have surged dramatically in auctions and private sales. The global collector community views this coin not merely as currency but as art, history, and legacy bound into a single small piece of metal. When we consider the investment side of rare coins, the 2006 2p stands out as a perfect example of how an everyday object can transform into an asset worth millions. Over the years, its value has skyrocketed as collectors compete for the limited supply available. Auction houses across Europe and beyond have seen record-breaking sales for pristine examples, with wealthy investors willing to pay sums that would have seemed unimaginable just a decade ago. To these buyers, owning the coin is not just about possession but about holding a piece of Britain's story, a tangible connection to both monarchy and money, tradition and change. What fascinates many is how the coin also serves as a reflection of Queen Elizabeth II's long reign. By 2006, she had been on the throne for over half a century, a figure of continuity through countless changes in British society. Every coin bearing her portrait was more than just money. It was a reminder of her presence in people's daily lives. The 2006 2p, therefore, carries emotional and symbolic weight beyond its physical form. It represents a moment in time, a chapter in the ever-unfolding narrative of British heritage, and that is part of why its allure continues to grow stronger with each passing year. So, what does this all mean in terms of value? The 2006 2p coin, with its fascinating background, its place in numismatic history, and its sheer rarity, has now ascended to one of the most coveted positions in the collector's world. While to the casual observer it might still look like just another copper coin, to serious investors it has become a priceless artifact. Today, the market recognizes its worth at a staggering $18 million. Yes, you heard that right. $18 million for a coin that once had a face value of just 2p. It's a transformation as incredible as any story in the world of treasure hunting, proving once again that hidden gems can be found in the most unexpected of places. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the history of the United Kingdom. Elizabeth II 2 pence from 2006. If you enjoyed uncovering the mystery and magic behind this extraordinary coin, make sure to subscribe to Ultra Rare Coins History, where we continue to bring you the most fascinating stories of coins from around the world. Who knows? The next $1 million treasure might already be sitting in your pocket.